Today on In the Woodyard, we're going to talk about a firewood business, mine. I'm going to talk about what I would have done differently if I was starting from scratch. Here we go. So here's the first thing I would have done differently if I was starting a firewood business. I would have started a lot sooner. A lot sooner. I wish I would have started 20 years ago. I've been at it now for like 7 or 8 years, pretty much just starting on a small scale and then building. I wish I would have started 20 years ago. I'd be so much farther ahead. So if you're thinking about it, do it now. Don't wait, don't hesitate, just start. Start getting wood, start cutting wood, start stacking wood, start hoarding wood. Get as much as you can. Do it now. You will be glad you did it. Everyone that I've talked to is always surprised about their firewood business, about how much they sold, how much more money they made than they thought they would. And they wish they would have done it sooner too. I hear this all the time from people like, yeah, it was just great. I couldn't believe, how fast my wood sold or how much people bought and how easy it was. Once I started getting customers, they just kept calling. Do it now or 20 years ago. It's kind of like planting trees. They always say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago or today. Do it today. Start now. Get going. Even if you're thinking about it, just do it. You can always quit. Get going. Start selling firewood right now. The next thing that I would have done differently is that I would have bought a splitter sooner. I split the first year's worth of my wood that I sold. I had 40 face cords. I sold all of that within a couple weeks. I split all that by hand. So I thought I could do that again. So what I did was started cutting and splitting more wood by hand. I used a splitting maul to split 80 cords of wood the next year by hand. That was very stupid. If you're going to start a firewood business, you're going to need some equipment. Now you don't have to start right off the bat with a splitter, but I'd recommend it. Because the worst splitter there is can split all day long and not get tired. It just keeps going and keeps going. But the best man splitting by hand is only going to be able to split, a few hours tops. He's going to be exhausted and probably worthless the next day. Start with a splitter as soon as you can. Even if it's just a used couple $100 one, but a splitter is huge. And then as you grow, get a better splitter. When you get to where you can't keep up, buy a much better splitter. Get one that's faster. Spend some money. It will pay for itself very fast. The splitter I use now is the Easton Made Ultra. It has a 4-second cycle time. I can split into 4 pieces at once. I can split a full cord every hour by myself. So if you've got a splitter where you're able to do maybe a face cord an hour by yourself, you're wasting time and money. Get a faster splitter, get a better splitter. It'll pay for itself really fast. Get a splitter. Got it? And the next thing I would have done sooner was I would have bought a dump trailer sooner. The dump trailer saves me so much time, so much work. I'm able to deliver more wood with it. It's just fantastic. I don't have a big one. My dump trailer is only 6 feet wide, 10 feet long, and I've got 3 feet size on it. I can haul 4 face cords or 1 full cord and a third at a time if I stack it in there. If I stack it really high and put an arch on it, I can get almost 5 face cords in there, which is a full cord and 2/3, and then I put some into the truck. So I can deliver quite a bit of wood at one time with that little trailer. But it saved me so much time by being able to just dump and go. And even when I'm out in the woods getting wood, when I'm cutting wood on properties where I can cut whatever I want and haul it here to my wood yard, I could haul so much more and then dump it quick and go back and get more. Dump trailer was a very good purchase. It saved me so much work. I started out with a trailer that I borrowed from a friend. It was a little single axle, 3,500 pound axle or 3,000 pound axle that was a 5 foot by 8 foot trailer with 2 feet sides, and I could haul 2 face cords with that if I stacked it. That's all I could get into it. And that's what I used for the first year. And part of the second year actually, maybe most of the second year. But when I got that dump trailer, it was a game changer. It was like one of the best things that I bought in quite a while for doing firewood work. So I'd highly recommend getting a dump trailer. You don't have to get a huge one, just get a dump trailer. Any dump trailer will be better than no dump trailer. Get it as soon as you can. The next thing that I would have done sooner, and I highly recommend this to all of you, get a bigger chainsaw. Get a pro chainsaw. Get a chainsaw that is between 70 and 80 cc's. Doesn't matter what brand you get a bigger chainsaw. When I first started, I was using a 455 Rancher because that's what I had when I was selling wood. I had other chainsaws before that, but I started with the 455 Rancher, so not a big saw. And I thought I was doing just fine. I cut that first year 40 face cords. Next year I cut 80 with. I thought, it's doing just fine. It's cutting good. I paid like $400, whatever they cost back when I bought it 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever I paid for it. I don't remember exactly, but it's a 55 cc saw. It's a nice homeowner saw. It's a nice all-around saw for someone to use. But if you're going to start selling wood, get a bigger saw. The reason that I got a bigger saw was I'd been told by my brother Kenny for a lot of years, oh, get a bigger saw, don't use that little weenie saw. That's what he calls all the little saws. He said, get something that can actually do some production, you can do some cutting, you're wasting time with that little saw. And I thought, well, it's just fine. It's working just fine. What's wrong with this saw? Well, then I went to cut wood once with my brother Eric, my other brother, and he had just bought a 576 Husqvarna chainsaw. So I was using the 55 cc, he was using the 75 or 6 cc saw. And we started on a tree. I did the top of the tree, I was doing limbing on it, and he started on the trunk. And he cut 3/4 of that tree, starting at the butt and working all the way up into the branches, and I was still working on branches. And I could not believe how fast he could cut. So the next tree we cut down, I used that saw and then he used mine. And right then I was like, tomorrow, I'm getting a bigger saw. It was unbelievable the difference. So if you've been using a little weenie saw for a long time, or you think your 40 or 50 or 55 or 60 cc saw is enough, if you want to do any kind of volume at all, or you just want to cut more wood, or you want to save time, get a bigger saw. The saws between 70 and 80 cc's, it's unbelievable how much faster they are. It's not just a little bit faster. It's the difference between like a moped and a crotch rocket faster. Get a bigger saw. You will be glad you did. And then use your other one for a backup in case you get pinched, which will happen. The next thing that I would have done differently is that I would have worked harder in the beginning, building up inventory. I would have gone after much more wood, much faster than I did. I kind of did it when I had time or when I felt like it, or a little bit here, a little bit there, figuring I'll just keep pecking at it, you know, and eventually I'll get more wood. But then once I started selling, I realized how fast it went, how in demand the wood was, the good dry quality wood that I had. Both the first 2 years, I sold everything very fast, like within weeks. And I'm like, I don't have any more wood. And then people were calling me wanting more. I didn't have any more wood. You can't have too much wood, especially in your first 3, 4, 5 years. You just can't have enough. You will run out of wood and wish you had more, because people will want to give you money. People will refer you to other people. You will get customers that you never even knew existed, and you'll be surprised, and you will run out of wood. Be relentless. Cut more wood, cut as much wood as you can, and always keep your eyes out for getting more wood. So I would highly recommend stocking up your inventory as fast as you can and plan way ahead. You got to plan a year ahead. This is not something where you can cut it and sell it. Yes, there's guys that do that. I don't recommend that. I recommend selling a quality product that's dry and ready to burn now. I've talked about that in the past. The 3 most important things about firewood is that it's got to be dry, it's got to be fully seasoned, it's got to be ready to burn now. That's the way I feel. Other guys feel differently, but I think you got to have wood that's ready to burn now, because people are buying it to have a fire, not to watch it sit for a year. They want it to burn now. So more inventory, as fast as you can get inventory. The next thing I would have done is I would have stacked my wood in measured piles. Because when I first started, I just stacked it wherever I could fit it, and I went as high as I could, as long as I could. I just kind of rammed it in, because I was trying to kind of keep it in the back of the wood yard, which is land that I have here. I never had all this wood out here like I do now. It was always way in the back, and I just kind of crammed it in one area so it was in big blocks. And then what I had to do is when I went to deliver it, I had to measure it somehow. So I either stacked it in my truck or I stacked it in the trailer to know that I had 1/3 of a cord or 2/3 of a cord or a full cord. And so I had to stack it to get it off the ground so that it would dry for a year. And I had to stack it in the trailer or stack it in the truck so I would know how much wood I had. What I have now, as you can see behind me, this row these rows right here, this is 2 full cords. There's a pallet right here, so there's a full cord, and then there's a pallet going that way, farther down, that is a full cord down there. So what I can do is if someone wants 1/3 of a cord or a face cord, I take 1 row here. If they want 2, I take 2 rows. and I can just throw it in and be gone, and be down the road and dump it and come back again and do it again. My delivery time was ridiculous before because I had to stack so much wood to make sure I had the right amount. So pre-stacking, you know what you've got, you can deliver it faster. Just saying, that's what I would do if I had to start over. Let's go to the next one. The next thing that I would have done is I would have split wood into the right size for my customers. 90% of my customers are burning wood in a fireplace. This is what they want. They want to grab it in one hand like this. No bigger than this, not much smaller than this. This is about what they want. And when I first started, I was producing wood for myself. And I didn't really think much about other people and what they wanted. So I always would split wood so that it was like in a half or a quarter, and you'd let it dry for a year, 2 years, then you'd burn it. And if you needed smaller pieces, you'd split some off of it and make some kindling. Well, the people I'm selling to, like I said, most of them are burning in a fireplace. They don't want big, huge all-nighter, big boiler-sized chunks that you're throwing in. They wanted smaller pieces because they made comments to me quite often. And all I had was big chunks. They didn't have small stuff like this that were split down into these smaller pieces like this. All I had was the big ones. And so I started realizing that they weren't happy with some of the sizes, and a lot of the people I would deliver to were saying, is this going to need to be split down more so that it'll burn? And I said, well, no, it'll burn fine. You just got to use some kindling. Well, they didn't have any kindling because I didn't give them any. They didn't have any because a lot of these people live in town, so they don't have just kindling all over the place to where they can go in the woods and get some. And they're buying wood from me because they don't have any of the tools to go cut wood and to get kindling and to make kindling and to just get wood in general. So listen to the customers, give them what they want. Now, if you're selling wood to people that are burning, in a boiler or a wood stove, and they want big pieces because they're heating with their wood that they're buying, then yeah, you need some bigger chunks. And you're gonna have some customers like that. And I have some wood like that. But the vast majority of the wood I have is small, medium-sized wood. Stuff you can pick up with one hand. Where if you got an armful of it, you can get a good 8, 10, 12 pieces in a big armful. That's what they want. Because the people that I'm selling to want to take an armful of wood into the house and then have a fire through the night where they can keep adding pieces. They're not heating with firewood. They're enjoying a fire and they're paying extra money just to have a fire. So cut the right size pieces for what your customers want. If they're heating, yeah, you're going to want some big stuff. The next one is that I would have bought truckloads of logs much sooner. I should have started buying truckloads right away the first year. I should have bought a truckload, processed it, and had it ready to go for the next year. I should have bought 2. And then the year after that, the second year in business, I should have bought 3 or 4 or 5. Because firewood is like money in a bank. It's an investment. You're going to put some money into it, and you're not going to take it out for a while. I shouldn't say money in the bank because the banks don't pay for squat. It's like investing in Bitcoin maybe. I don't know, whatever it is you're into. You're going to put some money in, and you're going to let it sit a while, and you're going to let it grow. And then when you decide to sell, just like when you're buying stocks or whatever, you're going to make some money. So that's what firewood is like. You buy quantities of something, and then after it accrues in value, then you can sell it and make more money. And I should have had a lot more of it because I could have sold a lot more of it. And I had people that wanted more, but I didn't have any more. So I'd highly recommend buying truckloads of wood as soon as you can. Put your money aside and, stop doing whatever habit you have, whatever it is, whether it's smoking, drinking, gambling, whatever it is. Whatever you spend your money on, coffee, whatever you don't really need to spend your money on, or just downsize in a way that you can spend less money. If you were to put away $1,000 in a year, it might get you, $1,200 would get you a truckload of wood. And that $1,200 that you would spend on that truckload, once you cut it, split it, stack it, dry it, and then sell it, is going to bring you in 2 to 3 times as much money, easily. 2 times is easy, 3 is getting a little bit hard in my area. Now there's other areas where you can more than triple your money. For every dollar you spend, you're getting 2 back or 3 back. That's not that unusual. So I would have bought more wood sooner because I could have sold a lot more right away. So now that I know that, my advice to you is buy truckloads of wood. And all you're doing really is almost like running a small business where you have employees doing some work for you, that then you do some work and then you make more money on their efforts, which is what buying logs is. You're hiring a logger to log it or a trucker to get it to you, and you're buying the raw materials from, say, the farmer, the tree farmer. So you're hiring those people with their good equipment that can do the work better, faster, safer than you can do, and then bring the wood to you, and then you take care of processing it from there, and then sell it. So you're basically breaking bulk. I've mentioned this before too. You buy in large quantities, break it all down into small pieces, and then sell it in smaller quantities. So there's that. Got one more for you. Now I saved this one for last because it's probably the most important one. And this is something that I think all of us have failed on. I know I have. And I'm still not where I should be. Charge more. Firewood is a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. It's not something that the average person can just go do. And there's so many guys that are, you know, people that just cut wood once or twice and sell a little bit here and there. And they figure, oh, I made a few dollars, you know, and they're happy. Well, those are the kind of people that are hurting the rest of us. And for those of you that are starting a business, starting to grow it, yeah, when you first start out, you don't want to be as high as the most expensive person. You want to be a little bit less so that you can build up some customers and then grow. But when I first started, my first year, I charged $90 for a face cord of oak for the first face cord. And then for all the second and third and fourth, any additionals, I was charging $80. I did that for the first year. Then the second year, I went to $100 and $90 for additional. Then I think the third year, I went to $110 for a full face cord. And this is oak I'm talking about because that's my primary wood that I sell. Then I went, the additionals were $100. Then the year after that, and since then, it's been $110 across the board. 110 bucks for a face cord. And I charge for delivery once it's past 10 miles. So on delivery, I'm making $1 a mile basically. If I was to start over, I would have started higher. I would have started more like 110, 120 maybe. Even this year I'm going to go to 120. I'm going to raise my prices because I sell almost everything I have every year now. I've gotten to the point where I've got enough good customers. I'm going to bump the price up just a little bit because my costs have gone up. As you know, I've bought some better equipment. I bought a tractor. They didn't give it to me. It would have been nice if they would have, but I got to cover that. I got to cover, I'm going to get a new chainsaw. I do have a new one on order. I already placed my order. Placed an order for a Husqvarna. A new one. It's not out yet, but I'm on the list. They said I was the first at the biggest dealership in the area here. It's for a 592, yes, the big one. So I've got that on order. That costs money. And then all my extra stuff that you have to have, you know, your bar oil, your chains, any gloves, splitting axes, I mean, picaroons, all the stuff that goes along with it, all the things that it takes to produce firewood, repairs and maintenance on the trailer, on the truck, on the tractor, all that stuff, that all costs money. So you got to charge enough to cover it. And my belief is that if I was to charge 50% more than I do now, I'd be getting close to where I think it should be for what I need. So I'm just going to gradually bump it up little by little, expand my customer base, and make more money, more profit. So if you're not charging enough, shame. You should be charging more. I should be charging more. We all should be. And one of the things that comes up that people ask me all the time, how much should you charge? It really depends on your market area. If you're in a big city where there's not a lot of trees but lots of people, you can charge more. Now if you're out in the country, out in the sticks, and you've got trees everywhere and very few people, you're not gonna be able to charge as much. You just aren't. It's just a fact. So you either got to find a market area that you can go to if you live in a high resource area to take your product to, or if you're in a city, you have to find resources so you can cut more so that you can sell more. Either way, it's hard. But I would take a bigger market area every day, as long as I don't have to live in a city. That's it for today, folks. Thanks for being here. Please hit the buttons. You know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe and the share. I appreciate it if you do. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you next time right back here in the wood yard. Between now and then, get outside, get cutting.